In this video, I want to talk about improvisation and how it can help you to speak more confidently without any preparation. Have you ever been in a situation where you delivered a speech and suddenly the words stopped coming? And you couldn't figure out what to say next. At that moment, when your mind becomes quiet and yet surprisingly busy, legs get shaky, palms get sweaty, your stomach starts filling with the butterflies, and your mind gets filled with everything else except your next line. You just cannot come up with it. A great way how to overcome a fear of public speaking and deal with these blackouts is improvisation. I know what you're thinking, why improvisation? Doesn't make sense. When talking about improvisation, most people think about improv theater or improvisational acting, but in fact we are improvising all the time. Improvisation is about having the ability to continue your speech by thinking about what to say next immediately on a spot without having it prepared word by word beforehand. When was the last time that you went with your friends or you hang out with your friends and you wanted to tell them a story, something that happened in your life, and you said like, oh, let me pull out the scripts, I'm gonna say to you precisely how it happened. No, we don't do that. We can naturally talk and express our experiences, our ideas. So why not to do that in front of the audience? We are all born improvisers. Think of the time when you were a child, or maybe a child that you know. And you can see that children are able to speak freely without any script. They don't care that much. They practice and they're trying with the language. However, as we grow up, we somehow start thinking that we have to be perfect, otherwise we'll be judged. So let's address the big question that you are probably asking right now. Should you memorize a speech or should you just completely wing it and improvise? Well, it's not that simple. I know that some of you will not necessarily like hearing it, but unless you want to black out or spend a ridiculous amount of time practicing, you should not memorize your speech. Never memorize your speech. Let's talk about blacking out. I've seen so many people that I coach to fail so hard by preparing amazing script and then lose track of their thoughts just in front of the audience. And no matter how much they memorize the content or structure their speech, they were not able to deliver exactly that perfect speech that they practiced so many times. Well, of course, there are exceptions. Some people have like very good memory or are able to dedicate a lot of time to really practice it in a way that is just so smooth. But there will be always moments when you forget what the next word is, or someone from the audience will distract your attention to your speech, or something unexpected or random might happen. Our memory is simply not designed to remember such long sentences and word by word of text. And what it does, it creates sort of like a linear memory. That means that we memorize one sentence after another sentence after another sentence, and once we lose this, imagine it as a chain. Once we lose one piece of a chain, the chain kind of breaks. We cannot really jump over. It's more difficult because our memories are linked to each other. If you want to sound more like a natural speaker, you should also learn to improvise. Let's talk about speaking more naturally and expressively and how memorizing your speech might impede that. When memorizing your speech word by word, all you think about is what to say next, and you're not necessarily living in the present moment. You're not there with the audience. You are inside of your head. You are so focused on your word, that what you need to say, that you forget to show emotions or gestures or work with your voice. Now, this will make you appear a little bit more rigid or maybe unnatural, and it will put wall between you and your audience. Well, you could have, in that case, just given your speech to your audience written by the piece of text and they can read it. What is often the magic of the public speaking, it comes from you, your personality, your energy that you bring to your stage. Not only message. Usually people are really interested in what you have to say and in what way. So memorizing your speech will hinder this because we'll just put ourselves too much into head. Well, now, I don't want you to think that, okay, I'm never ever memorizing my speech again, I'm going to improvise everything. Well, that's not a good idea. There are also a few exceptions where you might think to start memorizing your speech. So for example, in case you are delivering or preparing very short presentations, such a speech or statement, that lasts only maybe 1 or 2 minutes, you might want to be very precise and concise with your words to fit within the timeline. Similarly, in political speeches, you might want to be very careful with your words, otherwise it might cause a scandal or problems. So in those cases, you might want to take lessons from acting. Acting in the movies, especially movies or theater performances that are heavily scripted, so they're really following the story and special characters, they cannot afford to improvise. They spend hours and hours not only memorizing the text or lines, but also the delivery. So how to say specific text, how to look, what kind of expressions to make, how to make gestures. In other cases, it's best to build on your improvisational skills. And I'm not saying that you should not prepare at all. Quite contrary, you should actually prepare a lot for speech that you're planning to improvise. It's not about full improvisation that comes to your mind, even though we're going to practice some exercises like that as well. The key here is proper preparation and flexibility while delivering the presentation. So instead of spending hours and hours memorizing text, word by word, sentence by sentence, spend this time to further researching your topic and deepen your understanding of the content of your presentation. Then you'll be able to also go outside of the boundaries of your presentation and be able to free talk about it as an expert on the topic. Then, after you do your research, try to write down a general structure of your presentation, so a few bullet points and key ideas and messages that you want to convey. It is 100 times easier to remember 5 bullet points than 500 words. And the good thing is that if you forget to talk about one bullet point, it is easy to jump to another one, which in memorizing speech is more difficult. And when speaking, there's also one small tip that I would like to give, is try to prepare a first and last sentence of your speech. That's something that really helps me. So I try to really prepare a really powerful opening speech and closing speech and memorize just this one sentence. So I always know that if I stand in front of the audience in this stressful period, I know my first sentence, then I know my bullet points, and I know how to close it. So I can ensure that I always have a powerful opening and ending. Lastly, remember that in most cases, the audience will not know what you're supposed to say in your speech. They will not notice that you skipped word or paragraph, or that your slide is missing, or one bullet point was not included, or sequence of your ideas is different. They will not know, so don't worry much about it. And if you improvise and deliver it in a way that feels natural to you in a moment, it's still very good. To sum up, improvising will help you to overcome the blackouts on the stage, but also allow you to appear more expressive and authentic when speaking. After some practice with improvising, especially in the following modules and on our virtual class, you should be able to feel a little bit more confident in trusting your thoughts and expressing them to the audience. Good luck!